biggest challenge for us was the freedom of expressing yourself. There was a lot of limitation. You couldn't say many things. You couldn't express really how you feel. If police found you after 9 o'clock outside, you were subject to interrogation, meaning that they could check where you're walking, why you're walking, what are you doing. We were not allowed to travel on the western side because life was much, much better, and the government wanted to make sure that we don't see the other side of the story. We were only exposed to the eastern blocks. Because Communist Party believed that communism is the best system, and it protects the citizen, and it provides for the citizen much more than capitalism. Therefore, you can't really complain. Professors lose their life because they were expressing their opinions and their thoughts about better system, political system. Usually during the communism, what happened is the black Volgas car. Came in, the KBG agent knocked your door, they took you out, and once the car leaves, they never saw you again. Well, I was born and raised during the communism. It was probably a different experience than our American students and children in the school can imagine. I do remember going to school Monday through Saturday, learning Russian language. We couldn't learn German, we couldn't learn English. It was Polish and mandatory Russian language. I do have a sister. My sister and I, we have been living life a little bit different than we can experience here. I remember us getting up morning to see what Santa brought us. And one of the presents we have received, and we were very, very excited, were oranges and bananas. As a child who was growing up during the communism, we don't have many choices. We don't have many accessible items in the store. So for us, having bananas and oranges was a lot of fun. I remember I received for my birthday, 12th birthday, I received a pair of jeans from United States, and my sister and I, we were fighting for it. Who's going to wear them on what days? My mom was an academia. She was teaching chemistry, and my dad was an engineer in a coal mine. My parents inspired me not just to only obtain education, higher education, but my mom was an educator herself, so I was privileged to continue that mission in my family. My mom was arrested once one of the KBG students came into her lecture hall and at the end asked her if she believes in a democracy and if democracy will happen. And my mom had about 200 students in a lecture hall, and she was sharing her brother's stories about democracy, how democracy looks like, how capitalism works in the United States and in Canada and in Australia. And many students found this interesting to the point that they stay after a lecture for about an hour and they listen to her stories. And once she finished, she walked down the hallway and police came in and they captured her, and she spent 3 days in jail. And that was a normal procedure for many Polish people who promoted democracy. My dad, on the other hand, he had great colleagues, and they were fighting for, they fought for democracy different way, meaning they were gathering together in the basements and creating flyers to promote democracy and passing those flyers to the mailmen and passing those flyers to my mom's students. And they inspired me so much. They believe in something that somebody else have vision, experience. My parents were very inspiring not only for us, but for many others. Taking that risk of life, and knowing that at some point you may lose your family and still fighting for it, it's very inspiring and encouraging for many of us. So Communist Party, they were really watching us over. What are we doing? How are we doing? And they didn't allow us to express our feelings or emotions. They didn't allow us to vote necessarily. And if there was some voting, we already knew who's going to win, just like today in Russia. 9 p.m. police hours started, meaning everybody had to go back home. If police found you after 9 o'clock outside, you were subject to interrogation, meaning that they could check where you're walking, why you're walking, what are you doing. They just want to make sure that you do not promote democracy in any means. I do remember a lot of police cars outside. It was one of those memories that it never disappeared. You had option though. You could believe, you could belong to a Communist Party or you could not. It sounds like a simple choice, although many people decided to join Communist Party because life was much, much easier. You could get a house, you could, they can assign you much easier apartment, you can stay with your family and raise your kids. My parents decided not to do so, so they had to wait much, much longer. They also allowed your children go to the universities without passing the entry exam. So there was a lot of obstacle in your life. I remember, the shortages of the goods and services. It was extremely challenging for us, getting up at 5 o'clock morning, standing up in a line with my sister just to buy a loaf of bread or whatever was available at that time in the store was another obstacle. It was very challenging and time-consuming for many of us. I remember each of us was able to purchase only one item, and even though they deliver only bread on that day to the store, my sister bought it one loaf of bread, I bought it another one, my mom bought it another one, and my dad too. We all were able to only purchase one item. And there was only bread. You may ask, why do you really need 4 loaves of bread, right? And the answer to it is the black market solve your problems. We just were walking with a loaf of bread, and we were looking for opportunity to barter, to exchange that good for another good that we truly needed. And black market provided with that option. I remember as a little girl, I woke up, I was walking to the bathroom, and it was at my grandma's house, and I just smelled the smoke around. And I woke up my grandma and I said, Mom, Grandma, what is this smoke about? And she said, there is a lot of men right now. It was 2 o'clock morning in the basement. And they are discussing, what are we going to do next to promote democracy? And they were producing those flyers. She took me downstairs so I can experience that. And once we started first protests, my father, I remember, he was the one who was leading protesters in the coal mines. They were staying in a coal for about a week or two, protesting and fighting for democracy. And my grandma and I, we used to cook soup for them and deliver the soups for hundreds of men. And there was, much more than me and my grandma. There was other women coming to support them. What a wonderful mission. It takes one person to start the idea. And just the fact that they were trusting this one idea and in the same time receiving the messages from the media that this idea may be not necessarily the best one. and even though continue with that and be able to risk their life and their family life and still proceeding with that, as crazy as it sounds, it makes me really proud of them. We wouldn't be where we are today. Many of these people are heroes for us today. The solidarity movement started from the flyers, basically. So somebody from north of Poland sent a little message through this little card, through this mailman, right? Who shouldn't have these cards because he obviously knew that if he starts promoting this solidarity, he's going to lose his life. So he was hiding these little notes about solidarity anywhere he could in his mail truck. They received that notice, and they came from North Poland, where Lech Walesa started the solidarity movement. And obviously they go to the basement and they start continue this movement, producing those flyers. Now my mom takes some of those flyers and takes that flyers to the university, which they get distributed, and there's journalism club at university, right? And all the students are very excited to promote something new. My mom just passed a little note to them, and they were all producing those flyers, and they get promoted and share among others people. And on the other hand, you have my dad, who is producing those flyers in the basement of my grandma's house. And they get spread as well. And then you go and have a group of people who are getting together at my dad coal mine, and they starting the protest. And then you have my mother, who is organizing protests and the students with her at the university. And slowly but surely, the movement just rolls. And then you have, of course, my dad, who has hundreds of people behind him. And they are all in the coal mines. They're shutting down the coal mines for next months. And protesting and fighting for democracy, for free words, for freedom of speech, fighting for be able to vote. And then we are with my grandma, delivering them soups and services so they can survive, they can fight for us, for a better life. I was already, somehow semi-mature when I make this decision. And Poland was already in a free market economy system and a capitalistic country when I make this decision. And I had my career back home country. I was teaching back those days in college, and I enjoy what I'm doing. And a friend of mine, invited me to Chicago, where I met a couple of attorneys who were from Arizona, and we became really close friends. And they invited me for we had a winter break, a couple weeks of winter break in a semester, and I, there's no better time to come to Arizona, to Phoenix, than February, right? You see all these palm trees and the sun is here, and they encouraged me to restart my life. And my English at that time was very, very poor. I had only a few words in my pocket, and I learned Russian. I was fluent in Russian, And then later on, I learned Italian and German language. My mom made this decision for us that we gotta expose ourselves and learn Western languages, not Russian language. And thanks for that. That was a great movement on her end. So I started all over. I came here and I proceed with my mission of teaching. And I was encouraged by a lot of people in the United States. And I was just, I'm not used to say how I feel, what I think. When you're growing up in the system, you believe that that's what it is available for you. And you know, when you learn better, you do better. And I learned in the United States that I can do that. And there is no penalty for me. And I started my career here. I learned the language. I went back to university and learn the language and proceed with my career. And I consider myself one of the happiest person. You know, I'm far away from my family, my biological parents and my sister for sure, but I have a good life these days. And I enjoy my life, and I'm grateful for that. You know, growing up, we didn't have many things around. It took us a lot of time to obtain anything. Often my parents were reaching out to their savings to go to the store, and they had to pay under the table to somebody to get a washer. So I think the appreciation for these little things that we have, jeans, bananas, access to food, water, clean water, and the lack of corruption, or maybe less corruption, it's something that I appreciate much more. And being able to speak freely about your past experience, knowing that there's a lot of people in Russia who can do the same, people in China who can do the same, and other parts of the world, I think speaks volume. And I appreciate that, and I don't take this for granted.